All right, NHL round one, game sixes. Let's get straight into it. I'm rocking my new Barracuda jersey. That's why the tag is still on it. But yeah, let's get into it. So the Islanders took the series over the Penguins 4-2 in a pretty interesting series. The final game ended up as a 5-3 victory for New York. And yeah, so let's get into it. They're going to advance to the second round, so congrats to them. Jeff Carter actually got the first goal for the Penguins, making it 1-0 in the first period, about a minute and a half into the game. However, Anthony Bellavia scored not too long after, about 4 minutes after, tied the game up at 1. Jake Gensel scored for Pittsburgh, making it 2-1. So it made the game interesting, right? But Kyle Palmieri scored for the New York Islanders, making it 2-2, and that was about 7.5 minutes left in the first. So a lot of interesting action already towards the beginning of this hockey game. We head to the second period. Jason Zucker scored 2 minutes in to the second period for Pittsburgh, 3-2 at this point. Brock Nelson scored, however, tying the game up once again. So a very back and forth game for New York, making it 3-3. And actually, Ryan Pollock scored for the New York Islanders, making it a 4-3 game eventually. And Brock Nelson put the game away kind of in the second with a 5-3 score. So at this point, it was 5-3, like I said. And Ilya Sorokin stayed strong the rest of the game, and the Islanders won. So they advanced. Vegas Golden Knights and Wild. The Wild took a 3-0 victory to force a Game 7. Pretty interesting series. Shutout the Knights in Minnesota. So yeah, basically, Marc-Andre Fleury did pretty good in the first. There was actually no score in the first. Both goalies did well. Cam Talbot did good as well. The third period is where all the action came in. Ryan Hartman scored about 5 minutes into the third, making it 1-0 Wild. Kevin Fiala scored 5 minutes after that, halfway through the third, making it 2-0 Wild and 3-0 after Nick Bajustad scored for the Wild, making it 3-0 towards the end of the hockey game. 3-0, so that forced the Game 7. And then we move on to the Battle of Florida, where the Lightning won it. And it's weird saying Battle of Florida. I know there's been talks about this because the Florida Panthers are technically Florida, but the Lightning are also in Florida. So weird, right? But the Battle of Florida went to Tampa Bay. The Lightning won 4-0 in a game where they scored in every period. And they're going to advance on to that next round. Really good series for them. And just a good series in general. I mean, I know a lot of people expected Florida to win, but Tampa Bay did come up with the victory. So yeah, let's get into it. Patrick Maroon scored the first goal, made it 1-0 Tampa Bay, and that was about 7 minutes into the first period. Spencer Knight did have some good saves, but for the Panthers, but obviously not enough when you're playing a team like this. So did Vasilevsky. He had some good saves as well. Steven Stamkos scored in the second period about 14 minutes in, 2-0 at this moment. Braden Point scored about 15 minutes into the third. And at this point, pretty much over for Florida. Alex Killorn scored towards the end of the game, 4-0 Lightning victory. So yeah, that was that. Next game, the Carolina Hurricanes won against the Nashville Predators, taking that series 4-2 in overtime in the last game. This series was interesting too. I know some people predicted an upset. I did have Carolina winning it. The Predators did put up a good series, though. I'll give them credit for that. But the Hurricanes, kind of like the Lightning, scored in every period to win this game. The game was in Nashville. Nick Cousins actually scored first for Nashville, making it 1-0. However, Brock McGinn scored and tied the game up for Carolina, making it 1-1. And there wouldn't be a goal until the second period. At this point, about a minute and 15 seconds in, Mikael Granlund scored, making it 2-1 Nashville. So kind of a back-and-one contest. And Ryan Johansson made it 3-1 Predators after his goal. So, they had confidence, but Sebastian Aho scored about 14 minutes into the second. I mean, you can't count out the Hurricanes. They had a great season, a lot of come-from-behind games. Alex Nedeljkovic, he scored nearing the end of the second. Clock was winding down. It was about 5 seconds. Made it it was a save by Nedeljkovic because he's the goalie. So he saved the goal pretty much from going in. But a lot of people thought it went in, including myself. Juicy Saros made a lot of good saves as well for the Predators. Dougie Hamilton tied the game up for Carolina. About 6 minutes left in the third period, so we went to overtime. And right at the beginning of overtime, just about a minute and 6 seconds into it, Sebastian Aho put one in again to end the series with a victory and end the game, obviously. It was a tip going in off a slap shot, and the Hurricanes take the series. The final game that was a game 6 was the Maple Leafs Canadiens. Now, the Canadiens are a very scrappy team right now. I mean, obviously, you're playing the Leafs, who have had a great year. They started out the series pretty good, but now we're going to have a game 7. So that's pretty interesting. The Leafs lost to the Canadiens in Montreal in overtime by a final score of 3-2. And yeah, this tied up the series at 3-3, obviously. And I'm kind of rooting for the Canadiens. I've always kind of just liked them. So yeah, we'll see how they do. But I also do want Joe Thornton to succeed. So we'll see. But this goal wasn't really, interesting until the third period. And, it was definitely an interesting game. There was 2 goals for each team in the third period. The first one came from Corey Perry about 6 minutes into the third period for the Montreal Canadiens. It was 2-0 after Tyler Toffoli scored for the Canadiens, once again making it 2-0. But however, that lead was cut down after Jason Spezza scored for the Toronto Maple Leafs, making it 2-1. And TJ Brody scored, tying the game up at 2-2. But in overtime, the Canadiens were holding on for dear life for their season, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi scored in overtime towards the end of the period, making it a 3-2 victory, and we will have a game 7. So a lot of interesting games. I think this NHL playoffs is already getting really interesting, but let me know your thoughts on this, guys, and yeah, see you in the next one.